Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. This is your host, Aminah Ahmed, and you're watching Muslim Network TV. Welcome back to another episode of NextGen, where we speak with young community members, young change makers of our generation. You're all watching us on Galaxy 19 satellite, MuslimNetwork.tv, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Apple TV as well. Today's guest is someone very special, a young dynamic activist. She's involved in her community. She's a new friend of mine as well in the past 10-15 minutes that we spoke to each other. Rosa Lander is a rising freshman at the University of Chicago, so she'll finally be near us, and she's planning to study law and public policy to hopefully address the immense harm that mass incarceration and the prison industrial complex has caused in this country. She's a proud Brooklynite and progressive Jew. She's also extremely interested in local politics and political campaigning. Thank you so much, Rosa Lander, for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Now, Rosa, you are someone that is going to focus on addressing mass incarceration and in addressing the prison system. But your background, from what I know, is extremely different. You've been involved in women's education and climate activism, which is starkly different. How has that change came about? Was it just flowing from each topic? You kind of have your head in everything. How is that going?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just so much to focus on and so much that needs to be changed about this world. And I think I've tried to find little ways to help in my community and on a larger scale whenever I can. But as I've grown up, I've sort of addressed my strengths. And my strengths are pretty academic and are pretty suited towards writing and law. So I've had a really meaningful experience a few years ago at a prison in Brooklyn where all of the heat turned off in the middle of winter. And that has been, and I spoke to a lot of family members there, and that's been just like a really, really prominent experience in my life. So I think a combination of more recent experiences and also just a serious sort of assessment of what I feel my strengths are best suited for has led me to this goal. I think also, I wouldn't say that what I want to focus on or study is really going to stop my caring about any of these other issues. I am a big believer in that trying to fix everything is really overwhelming, and you should find little things that you can do in all of these areas. And you don't have to pick one in the same way that other people might expect you to, but that, little things you can do here and there are always going to help.
I think that is a lot of weight that as a young person, many young activists and advocates complain about, that it is a lot to carry. You've just turned 18, you're going to be a freshman in college. Do you ever feel that your age is in any way a limitation? Do you ever feel that you might burn out taking up so much on your plate?
I mean, I think it's definitely overwhelming, but this is a bit cynical, but sometimes what I'll tell myself is, if you're feeling burned out, so is the planet. And I think that the fact of the matter is that there is just, again, there's so much work that needs to be done. And I think what I have tried to learn to do is, instead of getting overwhelmed by the massive nature of the issues with this world, is to focus on small tasks that I can actually get done. And I think that, a lot of times even that can sound scary, and it's hard to get involved in a lot of things, but I feel like whenever I get overwhelmed, I look for a small task I can do. Something I found over COVID is that when I got really overwhelmed by, COVID scares and the weight of, just the horribleness of the pandemic, I would try to go to a community fridge and clean it or put a little food in it or, something like that. And I think that takes, for me, it takes 10 minutes because it's right there. But little things like that have really, really helped me in sort of taking a step back from being so absorbed by the impending huge nature of all of the world's issues, because it's too much. I focus on the small ones.
I really admire how you're able to give your attention to so many different issues, but you're not overwhelmed by it because you are definitely, you say that you focus on little aspects and tasks that you can do, action items. And I think many of the times young people, we get so overburdened by, just having all this mass information. And with social media, we kind of know about everything that's going on. And it's like, what can we do? But I think that the fact that you take your time to do these little tasks to make a change in the world is really, really admirable. And I really do think that I'll be doing that now too, because I do feel overwhelmed at times with all of this work that, as young people, we're trying to make a change in the world. And talking about change, your father, he just had a great victory yesterday. Congratulations to you and your family.
Thank you.
Of the day, politics is something that it is the whole entire family is involved. I know this because my dad is going to be running for office as well. He's going to be running for Congress in Illinois District 8, and I know that it's not just the individual, it is the whole family that has to be involved. How have you been able to help your dad in his campaign to get him to where he's at right now?
Yeah, sorry if there's a jackhammer noise. Like I've said, this is a thing that I really resonate with. Politics is never about a candidate, it's about a collective. And I think that both in an emotional, familial sense in supporting my dad, but also, just trying to be a part of a group. Politics is really stressful. Running an election is really stressful. But there's long days. But I really do think that being a part of a community and actively working to make the community of an election or of a campaign enjoyable and fun, and being dedicated and focused on the work and the policy creation and getting out and talking to voters and printing flyers with the right colors. There's also a lot that you can do that is really just about building real human connections with people. I think one of the best things that I've been able to do is when I'm out in the street, being able to talk to young people and about my dad and about the policies that he ran on, and being able to talk to my friends and trying to bring out people who I didn't really think were going to vote, or who had said, I don't know what I'm doing for mayor, it's too stressful, so I'm not going to go. And I don't know what I'm doing for this, and I don't know enough. Or, I don't want to deal with all of the registration papers or whatever. I really think that just sort of the best thing that I have been able to do for my dad is build connections with people in the campaign and on the street, about the importance of good local policy.
Rosa, I think that you just able to connect with other young people is so beautiful, and that is definitely you're an asset to your dad's campaign, and your family and your dad. I'm sure they're all so proud of you for what you've been able to accomplish so far, and not just with your dad's campaign. Aside from that, and all the activism and all that you're passionate about, you seem like such a go-getter. Is there any policies, in your dad's campaign? Was there a particular one that you were like, this is something that I resonate with completely? For me, it's college for all, right? As someone that is going to be going to college very soon, I do not want to get out of debt, get out of college with an immense amount of debt. So that's something that I'm passionate about. What about for you? Is there a particular policy that resonated with you?
Yes, absolutely. My favorite policy, I resonate with a lot of them, I will say, but my favorite policy that my dad has proposed in his campaign is public solar. New York City does not have a lot of green space, but we do have a lot of roof space. And there is basically, my dad proposed this idea to have the city pay a little rent to install solar panels on people's roofs, that would then connect to the electricity grid of New York City, making the city as a whole more sustainable, and also helping out families in a way that helps the environment at the same time. And that just felt really important to me. I think there's a sense that green energy and things like solar panels and wind farms need a lot of space, need wide open, fields, and also are, can only be owned by the uber wealthy who can afford to pay for their own solar panels and things like that. And I think the idea of making green energy a thing that all of the city or a lot of the city is involved in would be really wonderful. Yeah.
I think you and your dad are an epic combination. Both of you are extremely passionate, and like I said before, you both are go-getters, and this is phenomenal.
Billboards are popping up all over the country with an...
Our neighbors don't realize that Muslims are absolutely opposed to ISIS.
Salam. My name is Abdul Malik Mujahid. I'm an imam in Chicago.
16 shots! No me! No justice! No me!
So how do we bring up the energy which can really have an impact on the world? You need to build bridges of understanding among people, and we need to have America moving forward.
That lesson learned brought the strength of humanity to America, which is the diversity.
Mujahid Talks, only on Muslim Network TV. Faithfully connected.
Welcome back to NextGen. I'm here with Rosa Lander, speaking on her activism, her advocacy work, as well as her dad's great victory yesterday. Rosa, tell us about your future in activism. What do you want to do to address mass incarceration now that you've acknowledged that it is a large issue in our country, or have you already started addressing it? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I am a big advocate for restorative justice. I think that the way that our justice system functions is unfair and produces racist and systemically inequitable outcomes and sentences. I think that, I personally believe that prison and exclusion from society is not, without ample supports, is not the way to actually prevent harm in our society. And I think that approaching the law and approaching what it means to be a member of this society differently is really important. We, as a country, for so long have treated people who are struggling and who, need supports and help to come back and be, beneficial members, or not beneficial members, but be a part of society in a way that's beneficial to all people. We have, instead of providing them that help, thrown them to the side and then decided to make a ton of rich people a lot of money off of their pain. And that is really wrong. I think that, we have, I'm a big advocate for restorative justice. And I also think that, you really need to address the prison industrial complex, because as long as imprisoning people is an industry and is making people money, it is not actually going to be for the benefit of everyone's safety or everyone's well-being. And I think that until we can detach punishment and prison from making money, we're not going to be able to really get anywhere. Because, if our method of crime prevention is doing something after the crime occurs, that's not really prevention by any means. There's so much to do. I could probably talk for hours about all of the little things that I want to do and things that I would love to work on. But for the moment, I am focusing on studying and really trying to understand the ins and outs of the process so that I can, come back informed and try to see the kinds of differences that I can make.
Did you hope to be a lawyer in the future? That is definitely the vibe that I'm getting. Is that right?
I haven't decided whether I want to be a lawyer or if I want to go through public policy to make policy change to the legal system. So I haven't made that decision yet. Only a freshman, not even, but we'll get there someday. Is my theory. Yeah, I mean, I think I would love to be a lawyer because I do think that as a criminal defense attorney, you do have some more very specific, tangible abilities to help specific people. But I do also understand that, you know, a good cog in a broken system doesn't fix the whole system. So we'll have to see, I guess, is the answer to that.
It definitely is very early to ask you that, but I was just trying to get at, where you're trying to go. But, back to your dad's campaign, because this is something that is very intriguing to me. It's something that does hit close to home. With the campaign, what difficulties did you personally face to get young people out to vote? I know that young people they are a strong demographic. You need young people to win elections, but they also are very hesitant at times to go out and vote. What strategies did you use? What worked? What didn't work? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think for one, there are a lot of young people that feel kind of overwhelmed, especially this election cycle. In these Democratic primaries, there were so many people on the ballot. The mayor's race was really crowded. There were tons of city council seats open, Brooklyn Borough President, Manhattan DA. There's just so many different elections. And because it was ranked choice voting, it wasn't just rank 1, it was rank 5. And I think, especially if you've never done it before, the whole experience can be really overwhelming. So the best thing that I really found was for people who weren't, really down to talk for all that long, I would just have sort of short conversations about the importance of local elections and local policy. I think people don't always realize that their lives are more governed by local politicians than they are by the president. And I think that is a really fundamental thing that if a young person understands, they're going to be more interested in figuring out all of the various confusing names and numbers involved with this year's ballot. But I also think condescending information. I think straight up, like, here's who is running, here's what their policies are, simple, no sugarcoating, no whatever. But also not treating people like, oh, you're so ridiculous that you don't know who's running in your district. I think that there's a healthy balance between that I have a lot of friends who made up little like worksheets for the districts that they were campaigning in about all of the candidates. In really simple graphics. And there was a website called Oath, I think, that some Instagram data man who has been doing a lot of stuff since the presidential election made, that had all of the candidates with short, simple bios and stuff like that. I would say the best thing that I've been able to do is simple, non-condescending information, as well as just sort of saying, it's important to vote, you should do it. Yeah, but that's what I would say, information.
And it seems that, as well as information, the accessibility to information is so important. And with young people, we want things to be very easy to get, and we want it to just be laid out for us. And the fact that you were able to do that along with other people in your dad's campaign, and in the mayor and the comptroller, all of that is amazing. I want to ask one last question before we do have to wrap up. What is one main lesson that you felt that you learned in this campaign that you could share with other young people who too hope to get politically involved, who might be afraid, hesitant, who might not even know where to start? What is your advice for them based on that experience?
My advice is that almost everyone involved if you find a political campaign and you're doing some research and there are policies that you like, and you go and you try to volunteer for that campaign, the likelihood that those people are going to be such good friends and wonderful people, and you're really going to feel like you can connect with them on this different, really moral level, is so high. I interacted with just so many wonderful people. So the main thing that I would say is that as much as it might be scary to go in to a campaign or a room or, walk around on the street where it's full of adults and it's full of people who are really well informed and who have been doing this for a lot longer then you have maybe they're going to be friendly about it. Never have I met somebody who has come out to campaign for a local election. Never have I met a volunteer for a local election that was mean. Never in my life. And I volunteered on many of them. I just think people are going to respect that you're trying to make a difference and that you're trying to get involved. And that is something to be very proud of.
Thank you so much, Rosa, for being here with us. Thank you for sharing all that advice. I think we definitely got some insider information into a campaign that we normally wouldn't have got. So thank you to you and to your dad as well for, being there, making a change, stepping up. I think a lot of the times we can complain all we want, but it is those candidates, it's those people that step up to make a change for their community that actually should be applauded. So thank you so much, Rosa.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
And thank you so much to our audience for joining us on NextGen today. And until next week, Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you.